commercials for us and giving us that opportunity to share and helping to sponsor the event. And Gia Johnson in the morning show. Thanks, shout out, sis. Thank you so much. We want to thank Yvette Bullard and First Lady Radio. Thank you, sis, for coming out and sharing with us. We want to give a shout out to all the churches that were represented. Man, that praise team was amazing. The Holy Spirit, I tell you, did some amazing work on that day. Thank you to every single praise team member and every band member. They were simply amazing. Shout out to Buffalo Rock. You gave us some drinks, and we needed them drinks. Thank you for supplying us with water. And all the things that we needed for that. We wanted to say shout out to Councilwoman Marche. Thank you so much for sponsoring the event. State Representative Tashina Morris, thank you so much for helping to sponsoring the event. I tell you, it wouldn't have been great without you, even if you didn't show up. So, some of you prayed for it, but most importantly, I tell you, I want to give a shout out to God for just making it happen. Now, it is simply an event to tear down walls. If you didn't make it this year, next year we'll be back downtown, hopefully at the riverfront, hopefully, but it will happen on Pentecost Sunday, which is like May 28th or 29th every year. It doesn't matter who you are, it doesn't matter what church you belong to, it only matters that you love God. And we were able to worship. It was so beautiful to see the sea of people out there, all different colors. We got so many testimonies. And I tell you, though, the best testimony I could give you, this young lady called me and said, I came because I needed to be refreshed. And I was refreshed. She said, now I feel like I can keep going. Yes. And that just did it for me. I've been in tears all weekend because I've gotten so many testimonies, even just from the praise team members, people who normally don't engage other people, and they were like, oh my gosh, I'm so excited. So they keep pushing me to do all these things, and we'll see what God says. We gotta be led by Jesus in these things, because y'all know hell came knocking at the door several times trying to keep me from finishing the vision. I'm gonna tell you this, and I promise we're gonna get to the young ladies because they look beautiful in here in their pink. But I'm going to encourage you that, the fight, sometimes you don't understand who you're touching, what you're doing, the impact that you're having, because you're in the midst of the fight. Like, you're too busy punching, grabbing, running, crawling, and you don't realize how people around you are being touched by what you're doing. So I'm going to tell you, keep it going, keep it moving, do the work that you've been called to do. As the old folks say, a lot of times we don't understand when old people say things. But I just remember afterwards, I was like, I remember my grandmother saying, "You'll understand it by and by," right? And I never understood that until I've gotten a little older. I can look back and see, okay, I see why the fight was here. I see what happened here. So I just thank God for the vision. I want to thank God for the prayer warriors who kept me lifted up. It was a beautiful experience, and if I keep talking about it, I'm gonna start crying because it was a labor worth it. If we touched one, but I know we touched more than one. So, but if we touched one, it was a great experience, and some videos out there. I'm gonna look at them one day. I'm not the one to look at videos because I act a fool in worship. So I love to worship. So, but make sure you check out the videos. And again, next year, meet us out there. We plan on doing a little bit later because we want to have some lights in the background. I went to the Kurt Franklin Maverick City show. I was like, I want to do all of that. I want to have, which was an amazing show. If you ever get the opportunity to catch it, I have never, and I've been to some MC Hammers and everything else concert. I've never experienced anything like that before. So shout out to Kurt Franklin in Maverick City. Now, enough about this great weekend. Again, I could talk about the outpour for hours and hours. But the whole purpose was to have God to pour out his spirit, and he did that. So job well done, God. Job well done, God. That's all we can say. Shout out to all the pastors. I forgot to get your names, but there were so many pastors that came and they prayed across the city, and that was so powerful. And we had two pastors that said, this was my first time coming, but I would never miss another one. So, just hearing those words, they were jumping in the back of the stage. I was like, y'all gotta go somewhere. We trying to sing this song. We trying to sing, they jumping. I'm like, stop. But, we were all having a wonderful time in spite of the rain. I tell you, when you want to do something, it doesn't matter what's happening around you, you'll get to it. So push, pull, drag, do it, guys. Now that we've talked about the outpouring and Kirk Franklin and all those great people, I want to talk about these three beautiful ladies that's here tonight. We have Miss Patina Moss, Miss Val Williams, and Miss Letitia McClellan. Did I say it right? McClellan. I pronounced it probably because I misspelled it. Thank you so much, ladies, for joining me tonight.
Excited to be here.
I'm excited to have them to come and share about something wonderful that they're doing that's really impactful for our community. We know as African Americans, we experience things a little bit different, and sometimes we need a different support group. Not that we're separate from anybody else, but you can always have support groups around. So I want you to tell me, ladies, whoever wants to start first, what is the organization that you're representing tonight? She pushed the mic over. Yes, she did.
Okay. Well, first of all, Shay, just want to say thank you for the invitation and for granting us this time on the beautiful campus of the Alabama State University.
Okay, you better say it.
Yes. We are so excited to be here this evening. Again, my name is Letitia McClellan, and we are here this evening representing Sisters Network Incorporated, the Montgomery affiliate chapter. So Sisters Network Incorporated was founded in 1994 by an amazing African-American woman by the name of Miss Karen Eubanks Jackson.
I've done some research on her.
Yes. Miss Jackson is a 4-time breast cancer survivor, and the organization was founded based on the mission to support other African-American women who were experiencing diagnoses of breast cancer. It is a breast cancer survivor-led organization, and we are so excited and fortunate to have been launched to have the very first affiliate chapter in the state of Alabama.
Yeah, congratulations,
and here in the city of dreams in Montgomery. And we were launched in March of this year. And so we're excited to have the organization and the presence here, newly launched. So we are moving forward with getting the word out about Sisters Network Incorporated.
Why was this important for you to bring to Montgomery or to bring to Alabama?
Okay, so I learned about Sisters Network Incorporated last year. Mm-hmm. Last year in 2021 was a breast cancer journey for me personally. Mm-hmm. And I'll share with the listening audience, it was my second occurrence of breast cancer, actually. My first occurrence was at the age of 29, over 16 years ago, and last year at the age of 45, I heard those words again. Mm-hmm. So during my journey at Cancer Treatment Centers of America in Newnan, Georgia, mm-hmm. which is where I received my care, I learned of this amazing organization through my social worker on my medical team, and reached out to the national office, which is located in Houston, Texas. Mm-hmm. They did not have a chapter here in Alabama. I asked the question why, and they said, you know what, why not? And here we are.
You got to start with the work.
Here we are, yes. And God had already planted these two beautiful ladies in the path, so here we are.
So where are you in the journey now with your most recent diagnosis?
Right now, so we call it surveillance, but surviving every day. Mm-hmm. I claim my healing, and I did that even before, even when I heard the words. It's a journey, all sickness is not unto death. God, you talked about the fight when you were speaking about the experience this weekend and being in the fight. And the fight oftentimes is not about you. Mm-hmm. It's about pressing through and going through, and having a testimony for someone else to heal.
Yes.
But right now, surviving and
Mm-hmm.
and looking forward to just my testimony being an inspiration and just words for someone else who will hear those words or who have heard those words.
What is most important about your healing?
The most important thing about my healing is speaking about my journey.
Mm-hmm.
Talking about it, being transparent, not being silent. That is so important to me to share with other women and others, just in general, about being a breast cancer survivor and not being ashamed, unapologetic about it, and speaking about it. And talking about my experience, which is something that I've not always done, Shay. I will say that. I will definitely share with the listening audience that I was not always an individual to share and speak about, my experience. But I tell you, God has a way of letting you know, listen,
It's time.
listen. You have a testimony, and I expect you to share it with others.
Yeah, that's what the show is founded on. The scripture that says we overcome by the blood of the Lamb and the word of our testimony. Like, we don't realize how powerful our testimonies are. And that's the beauty of testimony. You have to go through something to actually get it, And when you have it, there's a responsibility that comes with it. And I'm just glad that you are here, taking it one day at a time and sharing your story. Let it all out, girl. This is the place to let it all out.
Let it all out tonight.
Yes, it is a safe space, but most importantly, it's about that freedom. I think a lot of times we don't share our testimony because we're not free from it. Like we're still dealing with it, we're still processing it, and I can understand if you are, but it's so we get so caught up in the process that we forget people need to hear that it was hard. People need to hear that it was a struggle, because now they can look at you in this beautiful pink and say, "Oh my gosh, I would have never known the struggle." I would have never known that you walked through that and you had your hard times and your crying times and your rough times, and those are the most important things, because we gain inspiration from each other.
That's it.
If we're quiet, then what happens? And I always tell people, if God said He'll use a rock, why in the world would you let a rock speak for you when He's giving you every testimony? And just be free from it. So thank you for sharing, Miss Moss.
Yes.
Yeah, I've been knowing Miss Patina Moss for a long time.
I've been trying to get on her show and she would never invite me.
Really? That's what we're going to do? That's how we're going to start. We were all spiritual and stuff. Give it to you, baby. Microphone. Yes. Miss Moss, now I know that you are a breast cancer survivor and you've shared your testimony in a lot of spaces. Tell me, why was this organization important for you to bring here for the women?
Okay. Well, first of all, thank you, Shay, for finally allowing me to be here with these lovely ladies. And I had actually mentioned to these ladies that it was probably a good idea for us to reach out to you to see if we can to book our reservations. But it's been about 20 years for my journey, and I shared this with the ladies. One of my concerns, although you mentioned, Shay, yes, I have shared my experience with others, but I have a concern about us losing our passion for bringing more awareness. In October, it seems like, this is just my opinion, it's becoming too commercialized. Everybody wears their pink.
Right.
All churches want
pink out Sunday.
Everybody pink out Sunday. Gray and pink. You wear your pink ribbons everywhere you go. Just pink. Everybody turn the lights. Everything. You got to do a walk. Okay, so we need to get back to caring for others. It's a personal thing for me, because not only did I experience it, my sister succumbed to it. So there are some things that I would like to continue to touch on with, we have to make sure we are taking care of our caregivers. They need support. There are resources out there that those who are going through cancer are not aware of. You know, there's some resources that we found out about, you know, just here recently. And, you know, over 20 years ago, there were things that were available that now that were not available at that time. So that's one of the things, that's one of my main concerns. We want to pull back, you know, not make it so commercialized, and get back to making sure we are taking care of, you know, those who are going through, those who have been through it, and continue to share, you know, what God can do. You know, we are living witnesses that what He can do.
Now that you bring up that point, you're right. I can hold myself accountable for that, because you think about, October is breast cancer awareness. I mean, it just rolls off, right?
Right.
And you don't think about everybody and all the people that's involved. Right. So you're right. We have commercialized it. So
don't get me wrong. Now, I love pink. I will wear pink every day for various reasons. So let me not get started on why I wear pink. But so don't get me wrong. I love pink. But I do want us to remember, you know, what breast cancer awareness month is all about, and not just wait until October to do it.
Right.
You know, we've been making plans. We want to just, you know, get the information out. You know, and there have been so many new developments and treatments and everything. And we want to, you know, we want to expose the community to these things. We're learning as we go as well.
And let me tell you what I would really love. So maybe about 2 years ago, I did my mammogram, and I got this result that I need to go back. Right? So 2 weeks, I'm waiting to go back. You know, I've thought of everything underneath the sun, and I'm like, nobody's telling me what this means. And, you know, even the doctor explains it. He didn't explain it. You know, I had sleepless nights. I'm crying. I'm thinking about my children. I started getting, you know, I started writing wheels. I'm just telling you what it did for me. It just put me in this state of, oh my God, you know, I may die. Even though every day you wake up, you may die, right? Right. You know, but you automatically, and it was the worst 2 weeks ever. I mean, I was fighting. It was a mind fight. Every day I battled, and I just remember, like, Lord, help me. I'm trying to have faith. I'm trying to walk this thing out. And then they do this, and then when I get there, they get this test. It's like they treat you different. You know, before they just like, come on, this is in this room, girl. You know, this time they like, come on in the room. Right. And, you know, they talk to you different, so you get nervous. You're like, great, handle me rough. So just throw me on the machine or something. You know, they're being loving and kind, and it just takes your anxiety to a whole nother level. I would love to see somebody walk people through that process, because that is an emotional process. I mean, before you even get to that next phase, now they talked about some density. I still to this day have no idea what they said. I just know I have to go and get these tests every so often just to make sure. But it was the worst. I mean, I'm quite sure it's not worse than, you know, breast cancer, but emotionally.
I still get anxious when I drive up in the parking lot for my appointment. So, you know, I understand what you're saying.
It was that. Hey, I'm quoting scriptures. The Lord said, "Be anxious for nothing. Everything make your prayer." So, you know, doing the self-talk, I'm doing these things. But it would have been helpful if I had someone to say, you know, hey, there is additional testing. We don't overthink it. You know, it may just simply be this, but it was nothing there. Like it was absolutely nothing there. And everybody, you know, I put my mama in the way. I'm like, why everybody coming with me? You know, it was a great support, but it was the roughest time that I, you know, had to go through. And I remember my son, he had just left to go to Nebraska, and he was like, "Mom, are you okay?" Like he kept FaceTiming me. I was like, "Yeah, baby, I'm fine." He's like, something's not right, you know. And so just to be able to have a support system for that time. I don't know if you've ever thought about that.
That's
like
a
as
great
a
idea. And I'm glad you shared that. Those are some things that we'll be discussing moving forward, to let people know.
Yeah, it was super scary. And I always say God gives you a testimony, and you never know when you're going to use it. But like a couple weeks later, after I went through my phase, a friend of mine had the same thing happen, and I was able to say, "Look, so it's just additional testing. Take deep breaths.
Yes.
Don't automatically just go these spaces. Now, it doesn't mean that it's completely going to be okay, but we cannot be concerned and consumed with the thoughts, because it's a consuming feeling. And I was able to help walk her through that, but just if I were to do it.
That's an excellent point, Shay. And to as you talk about that, I think about just the healthcare system in general. And Patina talked about 20 years ago and in the advancements, but you're talking, and I'm sitting here thinking about, there's a process when there are concerns, and there's a biopsy that individuals such as myself have to do, and you don't receive those biopsy results right away. There's a waiting period, and for myself personally, that waiting period, it could be anywhere from 3 to 5 days, or maybe even 7 days. But that waiting period, and then to receive the information over the phone. Not knowing where you're going to be. I was in a traditional location, but then I and got the phone call, and you hear people talk about, you hear those words, yes, it's cancer, or there may be more official and formal with it, and give you all of the technical terms,
stuff you don't understand,
right? Ductal carcinoma in sight too. It sounds like something foreign, but the waiting period, and the healthcare system. Specifically, what I was thinking about as you were speaking, some of the inequalities that women, African American women, experience in our healthcare system, not receiving certain information for screenings and for those proactive measures that are available, underserved communities, underinsured, uninsured, all those things, all those factors associated with what could be considered not an equitable healthcare system, how we receive information, when we receive the information. So that's a great point that just kind of attributes to those anxieties in that time.
And I think that's really valuable, right? We minister to people, and once we've gone through those experiences, we're able to help walk them through it. So, I would love for you to incorporate something and support you in any way that I can, because there's such a powerful time, and people are really questioning life, and questioning their faith, questioning their walk, thinking about purpose and destiny. All of those things. Child, I was thinking about all kind of stuff and race. I think about and then you put scriptures everywhere, because you're trying to just keep yourself lifted. And if we had a sister circle that really help us through those experiences, especially when you're gone, it does make a difference. Just even recently, I think I had to go back for the annual, so now I have to go like every 6 months. Right. I have no idea what that means. I still to this day cannot tell you what they're really saying, what they're seeing, and maybe
you're having more birthdays. You had a few more birthdays.
Well, I think I'm young.
So next time we have a few more birthdays.
And after the first experience, this time I really just trusted God. But that's because I had already had an experience, and I just knew at this point, whatever comes, I can't stop it worrying, right? If we could, we stop a lot of things. We can't stop. That's why the Bible said, "Don't be anxious for nothing." So I just, I gave it over to him. But you know, it's still just that process. So thank you so much for sharing your experiences. Now, one of the things I did read up on the organization is that they have some scholarships available for different things, right? Some money's available, grant money's available. Tell me a little bit about that.
So through Sisters Network Incorporated, the national organization as well as chapters, and we are looking forward to having it available through the Montgomery affiliate chapter. There's the breast cancer assistance program. That's one of the significant things about this particular organization, and aside from focusing on African American community, but being exclusive in that way, where through funding, of course, that will be soliciting through sponsors and fundraisers. The national organization already has it set up for a breast cancer assistance program for individuals who are in active chemotherapy or active radiation treatment. For those women to apply for assistance. It may be for utility payments, it may be for groceries, it may be for other financial needs. So for me, that's a gas, right? Transportation. We please say gas today. Yes. So those type of things, because when you're going traveling, to back and forth, to treatment for women who do not live in the city where their cancer treatment center is located, and they're having to travel. Those type of funds are very helpful.
Just alleviating that pressure of life.
Exactly.
Exactly. Because you want to eat, but then sometimes you don't have the finances to eat. So I'm excited about what you bring. Now, Val, I didn't forget about you over there. I was coming back. Thank you so much for joining. I want to know for you, what is the one thing that you want women to experience when they have an encounter with this organization?
Well, first of all, let me say we're glad to be here. She introduced me as Val Williams, and Williams my main name.
Okay, so
but I love my main name. Okay. But my husband loves his married name, which is Mick Carden. So
okay, Mick Carden. Husband, we sorry.
Oh, that's okay. But yes, I am so glad that Letitia and Patrice had me to come aboard with them, with this organization. And I want to say this, when she was trying to fill her positions, and she called me and she said, I have 2 positions to fulfill, And when she spoke about vice president, I have to say this. And my husband, I got off the phone, gave my husband details, and he was like, oh, you're good at this. Ask her to be vice president. I say, no, sir. I'm going to let her put me where she need me. And so he was like, okay, all right. And so she called and asked me to be vice president, and he was so happy. He was like, because you're good at what you do. But I tell you, I run an organization, a breast cancer organization. A cancer ministry. It's not breast cancer, but all cancer at church. So when she called me, I was like, this is great, because I was looking forward to working with someone with breast cancer, just owning, because when you've done this, when you've done dealing with cancer so much, you realize the majority of people who talk to you is people who talk to you about what you've been through. And because I have had breast cancer, I get a lot of breast cancer patients talking to me. And so I want women to take away from this organization knowledge about whether it's the health, whatever they're going through, because there are so many types of breast cancer. With the 3 of us, we all were diagnosed differently when we discuss it. And how you take care of yourself. You spoke about the anxiety, part of anxiety, just going to be tested. We want them to know the resources available. But more than anything, I want them to experience the sisterhood for African American women. We are coming together because of the same cause, the breast cancer journey. And we have something to share, but at the same time, we have something to just give to people as far as finance, helping you out. And we're not just dealing with the resources of just the finance or the knowledge, but we're sharing experiences. And on top of that, it's like a spiritual journey also.
It is.
And just that alone would just make us close as a different family outside of your personal family. So I'm hoping that's what we would experience as together, just a sisterhood.
Now, if you're just tuning in, you're listening to Hearts and Heels on WVAS 90.7. I'm your host, Shay. I have Val, Patina, and Letitia. Oh,
Mm-hmm.
I got it right.
You got it.
In the studio with me, and we're talking about the new organization. Is it Sisters Inc. or Sisters Network Inc.?
Sisters Network
Sisters
Incorporated.
Network
Mhm.
Incorporated. I absolutely love the website, by the way. It's just so pretty and pops. So make sure if you want to know more information, you can go to Sisters with an S networkinc.org. If you type that in, you'll be able to go to the website and just get more information. And I love that they have different things to let you know they're verified. It is a legit organization. It talks about all the different chapters, the work they're doing. I saw the walk, the annual walk that they do. So I saw all of that on there, and I was really impressed. And I love the "Did you know" section because I don't think when we think about breast cancer, and maybe let me speak for myself. When I think about breast cancer, I always think about one type. And until my friend went through it, and she was like, I have two types, in one, a different type in each breast. I had no idea that happens. And I was like, oh my gosh, how did that? She was like, I don't know. And, she had a very aggressive form of breast cancer, but she's still preaching today, Lord. She was preaching us on the tip. But really aggressive form of cancer, and God really helped her survive. But it was so many different layers to it. We saw her in her high states, we saw her in the low states, we saw her in the hospital, we saw her come out, we saw her deal with just all the different things, and even just dealing with body, like afterwards. That was one of the toughest time for her. What do you say? So this is where I got to start asking y'all to encourage the women, because you're like the forerunners for this. But what do you say to the woman who is still struggling with dealing with her body and what she looks like now, or what's the after effects? Because I know for her that was one of the biggest things that she had to deal with after all the healing and dealing with all these things and neuropathy. Thank y'all. Just all you can tell I've been listening to it. I let her talk to me. I just take it all in. I just had no idea that all these different experiences. So how do you encourage them with just continuing this journey and learning to love themselves in this new state?
So I'll say this, and Patina and Val, I'm sure they have, some additional input as well. For me personally, number one, my support system was so important and vital to me from day one, and even moving forward in the direction to assess to see what was going on. I had a support system. I had, my husband, John, of almost 5 years now, our pastor, assistant pastor, phenomenal women, and other family members. And just the support system it is so important for women to have when you are walking through it, when you're going through it. I will say to women and to those listening or those who may know someone, you learn to embrace any changes that come. You for me, I learned to embrace the changes and the that metamorphosis that God took me through. And I embrace that as a part of my purpose, strength. And it's so much easier to embrace it when those around you just assure you that, listen, I love you.
Right.
And it doesn't matter. Exactly. Yeah. So when that unconditional love is poured out, you just have that, you basically, you hold your head up high and you move forward, and you embrace what you look like.
Yes, and just to kind of piggyback on what Letitia said, that support system is just so important. And as you all know, I come from a big family, so I had 5 sisters, and My mom had 6 sisters. All I know is be around people. So that's support. But everybody don't have that. And so, you know, that's what we plan to incorporate, that support that they're lacking. And the other thing is, of course, we're doing a lot of things that there's some things that are in the developing stages. So we're going to partner with some professionals in that area, somebody who could, you know, address the emotional needs, somebody who can, you know, address, you know, how you feel about your appearance and receive, you know, that, you know, you're still here, you know, regardless of what you're missing or what you've gone through. So, you know, we don't have all the answers, but that's one of the things we plan to do is partner with some people who specialize in those areas, not only to help the community, but to help us as well. Because we're still, you know, we still have our moments as well. You know, when October hits, of course, you know, because my sister's death anniversary is October 3rd. So of course, you know, October 3rd, you know, I naturally, you know, I go into that. But we're inviting others who specialize in those areas to help us and to support us. So
I love that.
I wish you ladies and everybody there here can see these beautiful ladies. They don't look like what they've been through, or we don't look like what we've been through. You heard that before. And in fact, when my sister got out the car at the same time I was getting out, and I say, look at this diva. So sometimes, you know, you go through things and you come out on the other side looking even better. But even if not so, we have to learn to accept the plans that God has for us. Our plans are not His plans, but God take us through things for a reason. And the most important thing is to walk that walk in order to be a testimony for other ladies. I still have friends who I went through at the same time, breast cancer, and their husband left them. But here's the deal. It's like, sister, obvious he wasn't strong enough anyway, and you know you might be better off. But what we needed, that's another story, another time. But what we need to know, what we need to do is, and you mentioned it earlier, is to teach people how to be caregivers. Because sometimes men, especially African American men, don't know how to handle their wife or their significant other being sick. And you know, sometimes we are always used to being the caregiver. So that's an important part we need to look into, teaching others how to be a caregiver for that person that's sick.
Oh yeah, that's a good idea. Because it's a hard job. It's a hard job. My mom has been a caregiver, not for breast cancer, but for other things. And I could see it being so taxing on her. Like, oh, I mean, it's nothing you can do because it's just so many pieces to it. So I would love if you were to do something like that. And again, I think it's just really valuable and important if we all just take, sometimes you have to just take a step back. And my uncle used to say, keep the main thing the main thing. Like, what's the main thing? You are alive, you are breathing, there's still, like you said, purpose and destiny for your life. Because I'm a firm believer, if we're still here, there's so much work for us to do. It's so much work for you. So thank you for sharing that you're still because that was going to be my next question. You took my question from me, but I wanted to. No.
You know how mine's working.
But I wanted to ask that question because I didn't know, like, once you become a survivor, like, are you just like, oh, I survived, and you just move on with life, or is it just, are you still processing every day?
Well, I'll say, well, to anyone listening, you're a survivor once you hear the words. When you hear the words, it's cancer, you're a survivor. Even before any procedures, surgeries, treatment plans, you're already a survivor. So I just want to put that out there first and foremost. But as we when you hear us speak of journeys, and when I speak of a journey, it's just that. It is maintaining appointments, follow-ups, screenings, continuing to pay attention to my body, not to ignore anything.
Yeah, which is really important.
Very important, not to ignore anything. The same processes that I was going through even prior to. Just taking those necessary steps to be mindful of what was not right or what didn't seem right, and following through with appointments and follow-ups and sharing information with physicians and, as Bettina, talked about, any other professionals that I may feel the need to speak to. We sometimes shy away from the need to speak to a counselor or a therapist. And if that's something that will support you and help you move forward with it, if you have connections to those type of resources, time with your pastor, a minister, someone, a clergyman, someone that you can, who you can talk to. Mental health is so important.
Yes.
When you're going through this survivorship journey, because that's what it is. It's a journey. It's a journey.
And one thing I remember during my journey as well, because people didn't know, what I was going through, because I actually was diagnosed when I was 6 months pregnant. So when I kind of went missing, it all kind of, ran together, maternity leave and take treatment and all that. Keep your circle small. That's so very important. And even don't mean in the hearts, but they just don't know what questions to ask.
What to say.
They don't know what to say. Everybody don't know how to get a pregnant through. You know what I'm saying? I mean, not to be, rude or anything, but that's one thing you want to remember as well. You do want to share your testimony, but at some point during your journey, you need that close circle of friends and support that's really going to lift you up and not bring you down or not look at the negative sides of what's
You don't need Joe's friends.
You don't.
You said leave Joe friends out.
Exactly. Joe friends where they are. Okay. I just wanted to put that out there.
No, I love that. I think it's that's just life, right? We got to make sure that we have the people around us.
Yeah.
Now, how can someone get involved and get engaged? Like, what do you need? I know you're at the beginning stages. So what's next? What's coming up next for the organization? What are your needs? How can people get involved? Share some of those things with us.
So currently we're going through what we're calling our launch activities. I mean, this is an activity for us right here with you this evening, show. Yes, absolutely.
You're in our official minutes.
That's right. You're in our official minutes.
I like to be official.
And so we had a previous opportunity to do a similar launch activity such as this, and we're continuing to do that. And we're available to for those listening and for those who may go back and watch recordings or whatever. We're available to go and share information about Sisters Network Incorporated. And it's not just an organization for breast cancer survivors. We're open to membership for those who are caregivers or who have family members and no family members that have been impacted by breast cancer. We're we're open to we're not going to ignore men and the fact that men are diagnosed with breast cancer. Being sure that our organization is open to members in that aspect, and just we want to get the word out, and we want to let the community and those surrounding the Montgomery area know that we're available, and we're here to provide supportive services, support groups. We know with COVID, there are opportunities for virtual platforms, in-person opportunities, and we'll be getting information out and making sure that information is shared, hopefully through such avenues as Hearts and Heals, to put the word out and put information out about us. People are hearing about us and learning about us. We even got a email from a young lady out of Birmingham that just Googled support groups for African American women, and led her to that same website.
So are you supporting Montgomery County or just any county within the state of Alabama?
We are going to reach as far as we possibly can, as we we're establishing ourselves and ensuring that we have connections with all of the necessary resources. We want the local cancer treatment centers to know about us. We want local hospital facilities to know about us. rural clinics to know about us.
Yes.
Any location where an African American women will go for medical attention.
Yeah.
Yes.
We want those facilities to know that Sisters Network Incorporated is active in Montgomery and surrounding areas.
Yes.
So why do Black women need, well, Black people? Because again, men
Yes,
and women
you're
can both
right.
have breasts. Why is this organization specifically for Black people? Why is it important?
I guess,
You
share.
go ahead.
I'll
Share the stats with
share.
her.
I'll
Yeah.
share. And yeah, I do have statistical information. And that question has been posed before, Shay. And then so, well, why Sisters Network Incorporated? Why for African American women? And, my response to that, is the same reason why we have other Black organizations. Black Caucus when it comes to the political arena. We have Black Bar Association for our African American attorneys. So it's this, similar missions and supportive reasons why we, would want to have an organization for African American women. And then you have, as far as breast cancer is concerned, 31%, the 31% breast cancer mortality rate is African American women.
Wow.
Okay, so we're talking about the 5-year survival rate is not as high as it is for white women when it comes to African American women. More African American women are diagnosed with triple negative breast cancers. Why is that? The healthcare disparities that are attached to the African American community. We hear, a lot about DEI now. We hear a lot about that diversity and equity and inclusion.
I was just going to say, tell them what DEI means.
Yeah, we hear about that, and we can associate that, with our healthcare system and with, the healthcare that some receive and some don't.
Yes. So you're really filling that gap.
Absolutely.
Trying to make sure that, like as you stated earlier, those inequities that you're ensuring that people know what's available to them,
Absolutely.
how they can get treated, what they need to look for, how the support systems, just trying to create some equality so we can decrease that number. Because I think I was reading in preparing for today, I was reading how I wish I had written this number down, but it talked about the percentage of African American women who just don't get treatment because they can't afford it, or they just didn't see, they really lost hope. To be honest, they lost hope but couldn't afford it. I wish I had written that number down. I'm gonna find it and email it to you so you can have it. And I thought it was really interesting, and I was like, oh, this is the reason why. Like, we gotta have this, because what's 31%? We need to definitely decrease if the medicine is available. And we've talked about this over the past 2 years, right, with COVID. Go ahead.
When you said that, as Black women, we put our lives and our health on the back burner because we have to take care of everybody else. Whether it's the spouse, the children, even older parents. And so when things go wrong with us, we learn how to push through.
We do.
And that was my problem. Well, even when I went to the doctor and you talk about that, we being diagnosed differently. In early 2015, in fact, in May, I was told when I went to the breast center, I had my mammogram, that it was a fibroid cyst. Then I went to on vacation in July, same summer, same year, and I kept feeling tired and I was sick. Went back to the doctor and they was like, "You're dehydrated," And so I just kept pushing through, not feeling any better. And so my husband kept on saying, "Well, wow." The lump got larger over time because I had a very aggressive, like you talk about your friend, the triple negative. And so I kept pushing through, like I'm just tired because I'm just busy. And so by November, I decided, okay, it's Thanksgiving. So let me take the time and go to the doctor. Went to the doctor Thanksgiving and found out, when I did the exam, I didn't find out till early December when the results was back. I had breast cancer. And so I'm like, how did I get to this stage 3? Like, how did I get here when I just had a mammogram in May and it was a fibroid cyst? So I learned at that moment we have to take our health into our own hands, be our own advocate for ourselves. We have to teach African American women, men.
How to do that?
Yes, and when you say you go every 6 months,
Mhm.
that means you will get early detection because you're taking care of yourself.
Mhm.
And don't skip. You know, it's important that we learn that our health is important and we have to take care of ourselves.
Wow, is she trying to tell me what to do on this
Oh,
station?
yes,
And we all, everyone, regardless of zip code, we all deserve, you know, high quality and empathetic care and
Right.
service.
Yes.
Which we don't get a lot of
Right.
times.
And I emphasize high quality
Mhm.
and empathetic care and services. We all deserve that regardless of our zip codes.
Yeah, with my gynecologist, I experienced that. It was the most traumatic experience I could have ever had. I lost a baby, and he was just the rudest. It was the
Bedside manners.
I can't even believe it. I can't begin to tell you. And I was like, oh, I can't. Like, I should have someone to explain to me what happened, you know, or what could have happened, or what. I mean, he was just like, well, you know, it just happens. No. Like it's a blood test or something that you took, and you made me take this medicine, but you didn't tell me anything. And then the next thing I know, I'm here, so you have to tell me something. So you're right. Having that, being able to communicate, yeah, and then teaching us what questions to ask.
Yes, that's true.
Because we don't know what questions to ask, and we put so much you know, we will put more hope and faith in doctors than we will God.
Oh, yes.
They'll tell us something and we'll just go with it and be done with it. And you know, while we still questioning God, and the doctors are all wrong. So just being able to share what questions to ask and what to do here and what to do there. Those are very valuable questions that I hope that you continue to share with the group. Well, I'm excited. I think
Yeah,
I'm glad you're excited. That means we don't get to come back.
That's right. Anytime. You have a friend here anytime. Anytime you need us. I think it's really valuable when women can come together. Period. So when you have Black women, that's another layer of coming together, and then when you're coming together to inform, you know, in whatever way that is, inform with mental health, inform with what questions to ask, inform what services are available, inform whatever the information is. That's such a powerful thing, and it's really hard for people to do that because again, we get so stuck in our own stories and worlds.
So another thing we discussed as well, I know we're looking for support and donors and people to partner with, and we talked about how we're going to pull men in as well.
Mhm.
So because a lot of times men will see it's a breast cancer awareness event and they think it's just for women. You know, they see everybody got to wear pink and they think it's just for women.
Yes.
So that's one of the things we plan to do is pull in some of the prominent, as well as some of the prominent or well-known men around the city and other areas, so they can see what we're doing, and then the outsiders can be influenced and
involved and engaged.
Oh, yes.
So what's the contact information? How can they get in contact with you?
Okay, so for our local, we receive emails as well as phone calls. So we can phone number is area code 334-300-0625. Again, area code 334-300-0625. And we also receive emails at Montgomery AL Sisters Network INC.org. I know that's a mouthful.
Say it again.
Montgomery AL Sisters Network INC.org. But I want to emphasize the phone number 334-300-0625. Messages, text messages, as well as voicemail messages.
Now, again, if you want more information about this great organization that's just getting started in Alabama by these ladies, make sure you go to Sisters, that's with an S, networkinc.org. I make sure I say that because I put sister early and I was like, nothing's coming up. But it's Sisters with an S. Now, I want you guys prepared, really short, some final inspirational words as we get ready to close out. I told you it's going to be so quick. You're going to be like, what in the world? Make sure you get in contact with them. It's always great to find something to support. even if it doesn't impact you, somehow something always end up impacting around you. And sometimes it's just good to give and to share. So be able to sponsor, give them $5. You know, give them an hour of your time. Volunteer to make some calls, volunteer to connect. There's so many ways that you can help this organization be wonderful and great and achieve the vision that has been set forth. Now, ladies, if you will bow, share just some words of encouragement to the people as we get ready to close out.
Okay. One word that comes to mind is hope. We always talk about hope. Just hoping, knowing that everything will be better, that life will get easier. And even if it's not, just knowing there's hope in the Lord and knowing that everything will be just fine. And find us. There's hope in having a sisterhood. And come to join us. So the word I'm going to leave with you today will be hope. Just keep the hope alive.
Keep hope alive. I love it. Patina?
We just want to encourage you and the community that there's something for everybody to do. Don't think that this is just another one of those fly-by-night support groups. We're the support groups. We're here to stay. We're here to support you. There's something, like I said, there's something for everybody to, and we're looking forward to doing fun things. So we won't be having no pity parties. We are already speaking our praises into existence. So we're looking forward to hearing from you.
Yes, thank you, Letitia.
I'll just say, Shay, I want to say that I know that there are some amazing women in this city and surrounding areas doing some amazing things with organizations, and there's enough work for all of us to do.
It is.
Has talked about that, and looking forward to those partnerships and just being supportive throughout the community for all of our women throughout the city and surrounding areas.
Yes. One more time, tell them how they can get in contact with you. Phone number and email.
Sisters Network Incorporated, the Montgomery Affiliate Chapter, area code 334-300-0625. Email Montgomery AL Sisters with an S, networkinc.org.
All right. Thank you, ladies, for coming on and sharing.
Thank you.
Look, this week's show, look, I'm excited to have you. They have definitely brightened up the studio in all their pink. I should have worn my pink. I don't know what I was thinking. That's okay. But make sure you get involved, guys. I tell you, it's nothing like giving back. Thank you so much for tuning in tonight on Hearts and Hills. And so I love the word of hope. I love that everybody's included. I love what they've shared on tonight. And thank you for sharing your testimonies in your own way. We gotta have to go deeper in this. I love a deep conversation in the journey. But one of the things I definitely want to tell you is that sometimes your journey will take you through valleys. It'll take you through some rough places and take you through some plain. But I love it when David says, "Yea, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death." So even though it's a shadow, that doesn't mean it's real. So ask God to give you the vision to see what's real and what the enemy is trying to trip you up with. Listen, whatever you do, ladies and gentlemen, do it with all your heart. And if you can't put your heart in it, put your heels on and walk away. Thank you so much for tuning in tonight on Hearts and Hills. We'll be back here, same time, same station. Definitely not the same way. It just gets better every week. We love you guys. Have a great weekend. I love your spirit. Thank y'all so much for joining tonight. I told you it would be fun.
Real talk.
I like for it to be conversation because it just leads into other things.
Real talk.
But I do.
Sitting in the living room.
I'm gonna tell you, I had a vision. I couldn't wait to tell y'all when y'all got here. We're gonna get a vision so y'all give me 5 minutes. So I was thinking about one of the things that I'm doing over the next year. So the outpouring was our very first event that we sponsored, which I didn't plan on doing. It was just thrown in
This
there.
was the one just
Yes.
happened.
Yes.
At the amphitheater, right?
Mhm.
Yeah.
So that was our very first event here at Hearts and Hills, right? So I've been thinking about another event that I want to start partnering with organizations. think so. Let me make sure.
He will let you know.
You know, on social media. You have social media. I just want to follow them.
Oh,